Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Books with Mike. Fantastic Mr. Fox by Roald Dahl. Still going. Let's get started.
Books with Mike.
Chapter 13, Bunce's Giant Storehouse. My dear Foxy, cried Badger. What in the world has happened to your tail? Don't talk about it, please, said Mr. Fox. It's a painful subject. They were digging the new tunnel. They dug on in silence. Badger was a great digger, and the tunnel went forward at a terrific pace now that he was lending a paw. Soon they were crouching underneath yet another wooden floor. Mr. Fox grinned slyly, showing sharp white teeth. If I'm not mistaken, my dear Badger, he said, we are now underneath the farm which belongs to that nasty little pot-bellied dwarf Bunce. We are, in fact, directly underneath the most interesting part of that farm. Ducks and geese! Cried the small foxes, licking their lips. Juicy, tender ducks and big fat geese! Exactly, said Mr. Fox. But how in the world can you know where we are? Asked Badger. Mr. Fox grinned again, showing even more white teeth. Look, he said, I know my way around these farms blindfolded. For me, it's just as easy below ground as it is above it. He reached high and pushed up one of the wooden floorboard, and then another. He poked his head through the gap. Yes, he shouted, jumping up into the room above. I've done it again! I've hit smack on the nose right in the bullseye. Come and look! Quickly Badger and the three small foxes scrambled up after him. They stopped and stared. They stood and gaped. They were so overwhelmed they couldn't speak, for what they now saw was a kind of fox's dream, a badger's dream, a paradise for hungry animals. This, my dear old Badger, proclaimed Mr. Fox, is Bunce's mighty storehouse. All his finest stuff is stored in here before he sends it off to market. Against the four walls of the great room, stacked in cupboards and piled upon shelves reaching from floor to ceiling, were thousands and thousands of the finest and fattest ducks and geese, plucked and ready for roasting. And up above, dangling from the rafters, there must have been at least 100 smoked hams and 50 sides of bacon. Just feast your eyes on that, cried Mr. Fox, dancing up and down. What do you think of it, eh? Pretty good grub. Suddenly, as though springs had been released in their legs, the three hungry small foxes and the ravenously hungry badger sprang forward to grab the luscious food. Stop! Ordered Mr. Fox. This is my party, so I shall do the choosing. The others fell back, licking their chops. Mr. Fox began prowling around the storehouse, examining the glorious display with an expert eye. A thread of saliva slid down one side of his jaw and hung suspended in midair, then snapped. We mustn't overdo it, he said. Mustn't give the game away. Mustn't let them know what we've been up to. We must be neat and tidy and take just a few of the choicest morsels. So, to start with, we shall have 4 plump young ducks. He took them from the shelf. Oh, how lovely and fat they are. No wonder Bunce gets a special price for them in the market. All right, Badger, lend me a hand and get them down. You children can help as well. There we go. Oh, goodness me. Look how your mouths are watering. And now, I think we better have a few geese. 3 of them will be quite enough. We'll take the biggest. Oh my, you've never seen finer geese than these in the king's kitchen. Gently does it. That's the way. What about a couple of nice smoked hams? Oh, I adore smoked hams, don't you, Badger? Fetch me that stepladder, will you please? Mr. Fox climbed down the ladder and handed down 3 magnificent hams. And do you like bacon, Badger? Oh, I'm mad about bacon, cried Badger, dancing with excitement. Let's have a side of bacon. That big one up there. And carrots, Dad, said the smallest of the 3 small foxes. We must take some of those carrots. Don't be a twerp, said Mr. Fox. You know we never eat things like that. It's not for us, Dad. It's for the rabbits. They only eat vegetables. Oh, my goodness, you're right, cried Mr. Fox. What a thoughtful little fellow you are. Take 10 bunches of carrots. Soon all this lovely loot was lying in a neat heap upon the floor. The small foxes crouched close, their noses twitching, their eyes shining like stars. And now, said Mr. Fox, we should have to borrow from our friend Bunce 2 of those useful pushcarts over in the corner. He and Badger fetched the pushcarts, and the ducks and geese and hams and bacon were loaded onto them. Quickly, the pushcarts were lowered through the hole in the floor. The animals slid down after them. Back in the tunnel, Mr. Fox again pulled the floorboards very carefully into place so no one could see they had been moved. "My darlings," he said, pointing to two of the three of the small foxes, "take a cart each and run back as fast as you can to your mother. Give her my love, and tell her we are having guests for dinner. The badgers, the moles, the rabbits, and the weasels. Tell her it must be a truly great feast, and tell her the rest of us will be home as soon as we've done one more little job." "Yes, Dad, right away, Dad," they answered, and they grabbed a trolley each and went rushing off down the tunnel. Chapter 14, Badger Has Doubts. "Just one more visit," cried Mr. Fox. "And I'll bet I know where that'll be," said the only small fox now left. He was the smallest fox of them all. "Where?" said Badger. "Well," said the smallest fox, "we've been to Bogus and we've been to Bunce, but we haven't been to Bean. It must be Bean." "You are right," said Mr. Fox, "but what you don't know is which part of Bean's place we are about to visit." "Which?" they said both together. "Ah!" said Mr. Fox. "You just wait and see." They were digging as they talked. The tunnel was going forward fast. Suddenly Badger said, "Does this worry you a tiny bit, Foxy?" "Worry me?" said Mr. Fox. "What?" "Oh, this stealing." Mr. Fox stopped digging and stared at Badger as though he had gone completely dotty. "My dear old furry frump," he said, "do you know anyone in the whole world who wouldn't swipe a few chickens if his children were starving to death?" There was a short silence while Badger thought deeply about this. "You are far too respectable," said Mr. Fox. "There's nothing wrong with being respectable," Badger said. "Look," said Mr. Fox, "Bogus and Bunce and Bean are out to kill us. You realize that, I hope?" "I do, Foxy, I do indeed," said the gentle Badger. "But we're not going to stoop to their level. We don't want to kill them." "I should hope not, indeed," said Badger. "We wouldn't dream of it," said Mr. Fox. "We shall simply take a little food here and there to keep us and our families alive. Right?" I suppose we'll have to," said Badger. "If they want to be horrible, let them," said Mr. Fox. "We down here are decent, peace-loving people." Badger laid his head on one side and smiled at Mr. Fox. "Foxy," he said, "I love you." "Thank you," said Mr. Fox. "And now, let's get on with the digging." 5 minutes later, Badger's front paws hit against something flat and hard. "What on earth is this?" he said. "It looks like a solid stone wall." He and Mr. Fox scraped away the soil. It was a wall, but it was built of bricks, not stones. The wall was right in front of them, blocking their way. "Now who in the world would build a wall under the ground?" asked Badger. "Very simple," said Mr. Fox. "It's the wall of an underground room. If I am not mistaken, it is exactly what I'm looking for." That's where we'll end today. Come back next time for more Books with Mike.
Books with Mike.